I'm sure by now you've heard the unfortunate news about Shannen Doherty's passing. Unfortunate passing. For many of you guys, you might know her from 90210 or Charmed or Heathers or Little House on the Prairie. She's been a figure of many childhoods, especially in this generation, and she's unfortunately no longer with us. But the thing with Shannen Doherty was that she had a very polarizing personality. She's a self-proclaimed bad girl, you know, bad ASS, let's just say that. And her journey in Hollywood developed a lot of famous enemies throughout the years. Unfortunately for her, it didn't make her life pretty difficult towards her earlier career. And I must say, she had an aspiring ending. It was very inspiring, and she was very resilient. But she even beefed with State Farm, and then it seemed like every show or network or a series that she was on, there was just always a fallout. There was always something going on in regards to her. We're going to dissect all of that, but of course her inspiring career, her lifelong journey to just leave behind a legacy that is lasting. We're going to get into all of that and more, but leave some heart emojis, flower emojis, rest in peace emojis for her in the comments, because regardless, this is part of being a human, right? We don't always have to agree with everything someone does, but people are complex. We are all so complex, and that is the beauty of being a human. And in this video, we're going to dissect the complexity of Shannen Doherty. But before we do that, first, hey friend, welcome to my channel, Crane Allude, where we deep dive and break down the most iconic stars through history. If you're not yet subscribed, please be sure to do so. And if you're already subscribed, please turn on your notification bell so you never miss an upload. Now, without further ado, let's get into this video, and let's start with her childhood. So Shannen Doherty's life reads like a Southern soap opera infused with Hollywood glamour and scandal. She was born in Memphis, Tennessee on April 12, 1971 to Rosa Elizabeth and John Thomas Doherty. She was raised alongside her older brother in the strict doctrines of the Southern Baptist Church. She was a Southern belle, you know, really Christian, didn't even curse, believed in morals and the Bible. She grew up really well-rounded. But little Shannen had big dreams, and by the tender age of 11, she already landed roles in TV shows like Voyagers and Father Murphy. Father Murphy had none other than Michael Landon at the helm, who, sharing Doherty's religious convictions, saw something special in her. He extended an invitation that would change her life, a role on the beloved family-friendly series Little House on the Prairie. For young Shannen, this was a dream come true, not just because it was a fantastic career move, but because she had grown up idolizing the show. Particularly, she admired Melissa Gilbert, one of its shining stars. Little did she know that admiration would soon turn into one of Hollywood's most bitter rivalries, but we'll get into that later in the video. After a small role in the 1985 films Girls Just Want to Have Fun alongside Sarah Jessica Parker, Doherty's big break came in 1989 with the cult classic Heathers.
I wanted to be a member of the most powerful clique in school. Dear Diary.
Heather told me she teaches people real life.
You a Heather?
No, I'm a Veronica.
Does it not bother you that everybody in this school thinks that you're Verona?
You were nothing before you met me. You were a Girl Scout cookie.
She said, real life sucks losers dry.
Did you see that? Heather #1 just looked right at me.
Monday morning, your history.
I don't really like my friends.
I don't really like your friends either. Maybe it's time to take a vacation.
I just killed my best friend.
And your worst enemy.
Same difference.
Oh God, this is a tragic thing.
Sorry to hear about your friend.
Now I know you understood everything.
Dear Diary, my teen angst has a body count.
We scare people into not being assholes.
So, will we get to meet this dark horse prom contender?
I did not want them dead.
Did too.
Did not.
Did too.
Did not. Shut up.
I love my dead gay son.
You were out of control. God has cursed me, I think.
Oh, the humanity. Is this as good for you as it is for me?
Are we going to prom or to hell?
Life can suck.
This dark teen comedy was miles away from her wholesome beginnings, and Hollywood insiders were buzzing about it even before filming started. The script for Heathers was anything but family-friendly, filled with profanity and edgy themes, and as a devout Southern Baptist, Doherty found herself blushing at the mere thought of cursing. In fact, if you closely watch the film, you can catch her like smirking when she was supposed to be cursing, which was an involuntary reaction to her own discomfort. But the real scandal erupted off-screen. While filming Heathers, Shannen discovered that a married middle-aged crew member was having an affair with one of the extras who was a teenager. The revelation sent her into a righteous fury. She confronted the crew member, scolding him for his immoral actions. Her courageous heroism, however, was met with crude retaliation. The crew member cursed her out very badly, and Shannen slowly started getting the reputation of a difficult actress. Heathers wasn't just a cult classic. It was a springboard for its stars, propelling them into the Hollywood stratosphere. One of those stars was Shannen Doherty, whose big break in the edgy teen movie caught the attention of TV mogul Aaron Spelling. Spelling's daughter, Tori Spelling, who had already secured a role in his new teen drama Beverly Hills 90210, saw Shannen in Heathers and insisted her dad consider casting her. Aaron listened, and soon enough, Shannen snagged the coveted role of Brenda Walsh. On Beverly Hills 90210, Shannen's character Brenda found herself wrapped in one of the most iconic love triangles of the 90s, pitting her against Jeannie Garth Kelly, Taylor for the affections of Luke Perry's brooding bad boy, Dylan McKay.
What I would do to go out with Dylan McKay. I don't know, everyone says he's trouble. Well, he can trouble me all he wants. Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Kelly.
Brenda and I were just talking. Which do you think guys like best on girls, long or short hair?
Personally, I prefer blondes.
Really?
Really? So you're Brandon's sister, huh?
Yeah, I'm Brandon's sister. Yeah, she's Brandon's sister. She's so weird. Yeah.
I've always had a thing for blondes.
Mom, you scared? I told you, mixing the two colors together is what brings out the highlights.
My mother is going to kill me.
Now, it is good that we got the ash tint because that keeps out the red highlights. Or it puts them in. Doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
I told you, I know what I'm doing. Now, this process takes all night, but when you wake up in the morning, you are gonna be a brand new woman. A brand new woman.
Oh my God. What happened?
I colored my hair.
Move to some other city where nobody knows you. You can start all over again. I'll go with you. We'll dye my hair too, and we'll join the circus.
You know, I thought it looked weird last night, but Kelly swore the color would turn down by morning.
Come on. It's not that bad.
Fans were rabid, but many rooted hard for Kelly and Dylan to end up together. And one fan, Darby Romeo, was so obsessed that she took her grievances to an extreme with the I Hate Brenda newsletter. This wasn't just any newsletter. It featured letters to the editor and horoscopes, all dedicated to trashing Brenda Walsh and by extension, Shannen Doherty herself. But why was all this hate directed at Shannen, not just her character Brenda? The answer lies in a scandal that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Let's rewind to Shannen's early days on Little House on the Prairie. So remember where she co-starred with Melissa Gilbert, right? Their relationship, once seemingly innocent, took a dark turn a decade later. They became rivals. In her memoir, Prairie Tale, Gilbert recounts how young Shannen was like a shadow, mimicking everything from her makeup to her choice of jeans. She wanted to be like me when she grew up, Gilbert wrote. But this admiration turned toxic when 10 years after their time on Little House on the Prairie, Doherty got involved with Gilbert's husband during a trial separation. They weren't yet separated. That was still her husband, okay? Gilbert was trying to reconcile with her husband, Bo Brinkman, who had moved into the Oakwood apartment complex in Burbank. Unbeknownst to Gilbert, Doherty was living there too. Gilbert reconciled with her husband, and during later therapy sessions, Brinkman confessed to a string of indiscretions, including a one-night stand with Shannen Doherty. So Gilbert was livid, like, not my co-star. And fast forward to the 1991 Emmys, where Gilbert narrated a heartfelt tribute to Michael Landon. Backstage, she encountered Shannen, who had the gall to attempt a hug. This is what Gilbert wrote. "I pushed her away and said, 'I don't think so. I know what you did with my husband,' she said as she confronted Shannen." And Doherty's response was chilling and cold. "She looked me square in my eyes. I thought I saw a smirk. Then she said, 'I told you that when I grew up, I wanted to be just like you.'" End quote. Gilbert described the moment as too single white female for my taste, end quote, quickly exiting after the eerie encounter. And if you don't know what the reference single white female means, it's a movie that was out where it was like this girl became friends with this other girl and then literally wanted her life, started getting her same hairstyle, cut her hair like her, dressing like her, wanted her husband for herself, her house. It was like a fatal obsession. And then, it just got really fatal and really dark. So she was saying Shannen Doherty was giving her that vibe. Like, you wanted to be like me so bad that you went and slept with my husband, and you have the audacity to tell me that in my face. Well, I told you I always wanted to be like you. Comment below your thoughts with that, because that is pretty interesting. I'm not gonna lie. No, so after that, of course, that didn't help Shannen Doherty's reputation. And then there was a lot going on with 90210 that wasn't really helping her reputation in the media either. The behind-the-scenes drama on Beverly Hills 90210 was a soap opera in itself, with Shannen Doherty at its epicenter. Complaints about Doherty's behavior were as numerous as her wardrobe changes. Producers Darren Star and Charles Rosen famously hated her chronic lateness. She was always late, describing it as nothing short of annoying and disruptive. But it wasn't just that she was late. She had an infuriatingly blasé, nonchalant attitude about it. Contributing to this tardiness was her relentless partying. Shannen was Hollywood's new wild child, living life in the fast lane. Her offset escapades were turning into an on-set nightmare. The plan was originally for the love triangle between Brenda, Kelly, and Dylan to span the entire series. However, that plotline took an unexpected turn when Doherty abruptly walked off the show. And suddenly, well, she was fired. But suddenly, fans shifted their obsession from the fictional love triangle to the real-life mystery. Wait, what happened to Brenda? Behind the scenes, the tension between Doherty and Garth mirrored who played Kelly. It mirrored their on-screen rivalry. Reports swirled that their clashes nearly escalated to physical altercations. Tori Spelling, who starred in the show and was also the daughter of producer Aaron Spelling, watched the ongoing drama unfold with increasing horror. She couldn't stand the toxic atmosphere any longer and turned to her dad for a drastic solution. Tori assessed that Doherty was the source of the turmoil and asked her father to fire her. Aaron Spelling obliged, and Shannen was shown the door. She was fired. And years later on Celebrity Lie Detector, Tori confessed that she wasn't alone in her dissatisfaction. Many cast members felt the same way, and many cast members did come out later and was like, yeah, she was a problem. And even Shannen addressed it, like, yeah, she knew she was a problem.
Shannen Doherty recalls getting axed from Beverly Hills 90210 in a candid chat with co-star Jason Priestley. The actress is looking back on her shocking exit from the 90s teen drama, a move she admits came after she often arrived late to the set, inconveniencing the cast and crew.
It wasn't anybody's responsibility but mine, but I certainly wish that I had been sort of set down and sort of looked at and said, the end result is you're going to get fired because none of us are willing to put up with it anymore. I definitely went through a lot of growing pains on that show, and there were really hard moments for me towards my last season.
It was incredibly difficult.
I was in a really horrible marriage, and there were things transpiring in that marriage that made it very hard for me to consistently be on time for work. And I know that that became a very big problem for the rest of you. It wasn't anybody's responsibility but mine, but I certainly wish that I had been sort of set down and sort of looked at and said, listen, the end result is you're going to get fired. And I understand that you have a issue in your personal life, but that also can't bleed into work. You also have to get your together.
Now, 30 years later, Jason's only showing love for his on-screen sister.
I wish that I would have known more about what was happening in your personal life at the time, but we only knew what we knew. The hardest thing for me was, the show is about Brandon and Brenda, and all of a sudden we were going to lose one of the members of the Walsh family. How would we find a path to move forward?
Reach a certain age in your life and you just go, well, everything in the world has been written about me, and 90% has been false. So how about I just tell my truth now?
Despite her tumultuous departure, Shannen held her head high, but it was clear that her time on 90210 had stripped away her Southern Baptist innocence. To underscore this transformation, she posed bare for Hugh Hefner's magazine in 1993, repeating the stunt in 1994 and again in 2003. And this was the same little girl who grew up, couldn't even curse or anything like that. So of course people were shocked with her, like, wow, what a change, you know, from not being able to curse at all to now, you know, posing for Hugh Hefner. You know, scandal followed her into her personal life as well. Shannen began dating Dean J. Factor, who is the heir to the Max Factor Cosmetics fortune, you know, the makeup brand. And by early 1993, they planned to marry. But by May, the relationship had soured dramatically, so much so that Factor sought a restraining order against her. Factor's allegations were shocking. He claimed Doherty tried to run him over with her car, threatened him with a firearm, and bizarrely threw a log through his window. And of course, that was his side of the story. Given her tarnished reputation, Doherty couldn't deny these accusations even if she wanted to, because no one would believe her. So her father stepped in to defend her, alleging that Factor was a violent one and pointing to a black eye Doherty had when she returned from a vacation with her husband. The two eventually reached an agreement, but the damage was done. The media branded Doherty as out of control and her reputation was in shambles. In less than 5 months after her restraining order debacle, Shannen Doherty was already head over heels with someone new, actor and musician Ashley Hamilton. The whirlwind romance saw the pair tying the knot in a matter of weeks, and unsurprisingly, the marriage crashed and burned within half a year. Perhaps it was their lightning fast courtship, or maybe it was Hamilton's claim that Doherty had threatened him. Either way, Hamilton exited stage left, adding another failed relationship to Shannen's growing list. Was this just bad luck in love, or was Shannen herself the common denominator? The media started to speculate and was like, yeah, she's the common denominator. Things took a darker turn as Shannen's life started spiraling out of control. In 1992, a nightclub fight with another actor led to a police citation for battery from Shannen because, you know, she was in the fault there, according to police. And just 3 years later, she was booked for vandalism after hurling a bottle that struck a car, once again outside of a club. What was the common thread in all this incidents? Drinking. And her love affair with the bottle would soon land her in an even bigger trouble. After her tumultuous time on Beverly Hills 90210, one would think Aaron Spelling had learned his lesson, yet he cast her in his new series, Charmed, about 3 sisters who discover they are witches. Perhaps Spelling assumed Shannen had matured and would keep the drama to a minimum. This time, Doherty clashed with co-star Alyssa Milano, another former child star. Shannen attributed their feud to her competitive nature, but the result was the same. Shannen walked off the show once again because she just could not get along with Alyssa Milano. Remember, it was Tori Spelling who got Shannen fired from 90210, but on Charmed, Milano later cited creative differences and even said that it was much like high school on set. It was like the girls were jealous of her, you know, and was giving her grief. And as the reason for Shannen's departure, that's what was given. Was Shannen really walking away without a fight, or was there more to the story? To many, it did make her look very guilty, and Alyssa Milano spoke her truth. And on the podcast with Sway, they danced around the question, but it does give, based on the response, that yeah, I wasn't the best, you know, person on set, but we all have differences. It just seemed like it was excused away. But I'm like, the fact that Shannen had this ongoing issue, she did speak on it and said it was basically her competitive edge. She had a very competitive edge. She was very competitive on set. She wanted to be the best and stuff like that, her best version. So it would clash with her co-stars.
Alyssa Milano, recently she was doing an interview with Andy Cohen, and she said something that surprised me, because she said that being on set was kind of like high school and how there were times that were rough.
When you work that closely together, there's always going to be times that are rough. Whether somebody wants to say that that's high school, their definition of high school, somebody else just saying like, you know, sometimes you don't always get along with the person 24/7 that you work with.
Mm-hmm. She didn't go to high school. What are we talking about here? Her mother was at my wedding. Like, why are we even, why? Yeah. You know, yeah. We were all friends, and at times we weren't. So that's, yeah.
A lot of things have been said, and a lot have been very hurtful. I'm going to actually read something right now that I wrote last night for all of you. Holly and I, we were not mean on the podcast. We simply told the truth because the truth actually does matter. But we wanted to try to save you, the fans, from heartbreak as much as humanly possible. We told our truths, and we are standing by our truths. There is no revisionist history happening in the truth that I know we told. There's no lateness to set. There's no mediator for months on end. I recall the facts as if I were still living in them. And what I will say is what somebody else may call drama is an actual trauma for me. I had to address this trauma and be open and honest about it so that I could actually heal from a livelihood that was taken away from me, a livelihood that was taken away from my family, because someone else wanted to be number one on the call sheet.
Protected you for a long time. We've done it for as long as we could, both of us, all of us. And there's a great, great comedian named Cat Williams. Has a wonderful, wonderful saying, winners do not let losers rewrite history.
Woo! In 1999, Shannen disclosed that she had been battling Crohn's disease, an inflammatory bowel disease characterized by severe diarrhea, weight loss, and even malnutrition. She openly stated there's nothing sexy about women saying, I've got to go to the bathroom. Yet, her poor health wasn't her biggest problem. In 2000, Shannen's drinking habit landed her in jail. This time, she was arrested for driving under the influence. Though she was only behind bars for a few hours, Shannen described it as one of the most humiliating, degrading experiences you can ever go through, end quote. Her punishment was lenient, but still embarrassing. Community service, picking up trash, and giving talks to teens about the dangers of drinking and driving. From epic on-set battles and disastrous relationships to brushes with the law, Shannen's life was fastly becoming a roller coaster. With her reputation in shambles, Shannen found herself relegated to the realm of low-budget made-for-TV movies. Titles like Obsessed and Freeze Frame dominated her filmography. And in 2002, she started dating professional poker player and recent divorcee Rick Solomon. True to form, the couple hastily tied the knot, and also true to form, the marriage crumbled in just 9 months. In hindsight, ending things with Solomon may have been Doherty's best decision. He later was the one that had the relationship with Paris Hilton, which resulted in the infamous One Night in Paris, videotape scandal, if you know what we're talking about. And Shannen's personal life was spiraling into chaos, material ripe for a dramatic TV show. So having burned bridges with both 90210 and Charmed, and saddled with roles in subpar TV movies, Shannen's career seemed doomed. Enter reality TV. And in 2003, she signed on to host Scare Tactics, which was one of my favorite shows at that time. I used to watch it religiously. It was a hidden camera prank show, but even this gig slipped through her fingers, with Stephen Baldwin eventually replacing her because they were basically saying she was difficult. So, I know, but I loved when she was on it. Realizing she needed to take control, Shannen decided to produce and star in her own reality series, Breaking Up with Shannen Doherty, another show that I like, but it didn't go too far. And it aired on Oxygen in 2006, capitalizing on her notorious bad girl image. The premise, Shannen would step in to do the dirty work for people too timid to break up with partners or confront friends. It sounded perfect for her, but the public disagreed. The show was canceled after just 1 season. It just didn't have the viewership that it needed to continue. Fast forward to 2008, and Shannen got an unexpected call. Her agent informed her that the team behind Beverly Hills 90210 wanted her back for a reboot on the CW. And despite the toxic history, Shannen agreed. She must have been apprehensive about reuniting with her old frenemies, Jenny Garth and Tori Spelling, but fate had a twist. Only Garth would be returning. When Tori Spelling discovered that Shannen and Garth were earning more than her, she demanded a raise. The producers promptly declined, leaving Spelling out of the picture. And Shannen's return was short-lived as the new generation of 90210 characters gained traction. Both Shannen and Garth faded from the storyline and from the screen. And after stepping away from the reboot, Shannen was determined to stay in the public eye. In 2010, she joined the 10th season of Dancing with the Stars, and seeking to reclaim her spotlight, Shannen turned to publishing. Her book, bearing the mouthful of a title called Badass, A Hard-Earned Guide to Living with Style and the Right Attitude, seemed like her attempt to embrace her notorious reputation. However, readers expecting a juicy tell-all were let down. The book leaned more towards self-help than scandal. And desperate for a TV comeback, Shannen concocted a new plan, combining her love for reality TV with her penchant for tying the knot. In October 2011, she married Kurt Iswarienko, but this wasn't just any wedding. Shannen convinced her fiancé to film the entire planning process for a reality TV show. Shannen did her homework, York, studying the reality shows of Tori Spelling and Kim Kardashian to shape her own vision. She aimed for a documentary feel, but threw in a contradictory twist. She would be an actor on the show, not just a personality. It was like a reality, but we're acting. We can set up scenes. So not really real reality. Something in between, I guess. Ultimately, it didn't matter because almost nobody tuned in and it was canceled. Despite the lackluster show, Shannen's marriage to Iswarienko became her most enduring relationship, lasting an impressive 11 years, which is a lifetime if you consider Hollywood terms. Yeah. When they finally called it quits, Shannen's explanation was cryptic, stating she had no other option. Her publicist, however, dropped a bombshell suggesting that Iswarienko's female agent, Collier Grimm, was intimately involved in the breakup, meaning it was like a love triangle. Adding to her woes, the devastating wildfires of 2018 ravaged Southern California, claiming many homes, including Doherty's Malibu mansion. And when she approached her insurance company for help rebuilding, she was met with a shocking refusal. Furious, Shannen took them to court the following year. In court, the insurance company countered that her home hadn't actually been destroyed by fire, but had only suffered smoke damage. They pointed out that they had already paid her $1 million for cleanup, but Shannen had a compelling reason for needing a complete rebuild. She had been diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015. Her attorney argued that the smoke damage was particularly harmful given her medical history. And although her cancer had been in remission since 2017, she eventually faced a relapse, making her plea for a full rebuild even more pressing. The jury sympathized with her plight and awarded her a staggering $6.3 million for damages, emotional distress, and legal fees, exceeding the $2.7 million she initially sought to rebuild her home. The insurance company was far from pleased and considered appealing the ruling, but yeah.
It's going to come out in a matter of days or a week that I have stage 4. So my cancer came back. It's a bitter pill to swallow in a lot of ways.
It's not fair. Why me?
I have definitely days where I say, why me? And then I go, well, why not me? Who else? You know, who else besides me deserves this? None of us do.
Amid her battle with cancer, Doherty is also in the middle of a fight with her insurance company, State Farm, after her California home was damaged in the Woolsey fire in 2018.
So I ended up suing State Farm, and the result has been one of the most horrific processes I have ever been through.
Doherty claims she has been forced to pay out of pocket for losses she believes should be covered by her insurance policy. State Farm says they have paid nearly $1.1 million to clean and repair plaintiff's home and personal property, and for temporary housing and furniture rental, adding that the plaintiff nevertheless alleges she is entitled to additional benefits under her homeowner's policy. State Farm telling ABC News, "We empathize with Ms. Doherty's health issues and wish her a full recovery," adding, "We strongly believe we have upheld our commitment to our customer and have paid what we owe on this claim." Doherty says she is only speaking out about her cancer diagnosis because court documents detailing her health conditions will be made public ahead of the trial.
And I can make that impact through this lawsuit and by saying enough is enough with big business and corporations running the little person over. It's not fair. And I'm taking a stand for all of us. I want to be remembered for something bigger than just me.
Just when Shannen thought she had put 90210 behind her for good, 2019 brought another twist. A reboot with a mind-bending twist, the new series BH 90210 took meta to another level, featuring the original cast playing exaggerated versions of themselves as they attempted to reboot the iconic show. Before signing on for this convoluted comeback, Shannen had one non-negotiable demand. This time, she refused to be the villain. Shannen wanted the world to see her evolution, to recognize that she had grown beyond her turbulent past. To underscore this, the show's trailer depicted all the cast members engaged in mundane activities, except for Shannen, who was shown meditating, a serene picture of a change. Surprisingly, the new Shannen lived up to her promise. There were no on-set meltdowns. She was getting along with everybody. This newfound serenity was even more impressive given the heartbreaking secret she carried. Her cancer had returned. Known for her candidness about her health struggles, Shannen dropped a bombshell in January 2023. A CT scan revealed that her cancer had come back and now moved up to her brain. She took to social media to share the devastating news, receiving an outpouring of love and support from fans and celebrities alike. The girl America once loved to hate was now enveloped in compassion. Later that month, Shannen disclosed another harrowing chapter. She had undergone surgery to remove a brain tumor she'd nicknamed Bob. He had to get removed and dissected to see his pathology. She told people in November 2023, "It was definitely one of the scariest things I've ever been through in my life. I can't even imagine." Despite these overwhelming challenges, Doherty remained resolute in her determination to keep working and living life to the fullest. People just assume that it means you can't walk, you can't eat, you can't work. They put you out to pasture at a very early age. You're done, you're retired, and we're not, she declared. We're vibrant and we have such a different outlook on life. We're people who want to work and embrace life and keep moving forward. End quote. Though she was optimistic, Shannen was also realistic. She even started planning her funeral before her death, telling her friend who she didn't want at her funeral and how she wanted it to end, where she wanted her funeral to be, etc.
Shannen Doherty getting real about who she doesn't want attending her funeral.
There's a lot of people that I think would show up that I don't want there.
Right.
Like, I don't want them there. Because the reasons for showing up aren't necessarily the best reasons. Like, they don't really like me.
Where do you want it to be?
Let's do it here at my house. But like, party. I want it to be a celebration.
And where do you want your ashes?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Shannen knows one thing for sure. The guest list is going to be tight.
I can't give you a list of who I don't want because that's way too long. I don't mind my fans showing up. I'm talking about like people that really don't like me. I just don't want those people there. And I know who they are, but they will because it's the politically correct thing to do and they don't want to look bad. I kind of want to take that pressure off of them. Obviously, my biggest thing is I just don't want to die too soon because I have a lot to accomplish. So that weighs heavy on my brain.
In her final months, Shannen focused on raising awareness and funds for cancer research, striving to show that those with terminal illness still have much to contribute. Tragically, the Beverly Hills 90210 star lost her battle with cancer at the age of 53 on Saturday, July 13th. Sadly, one of her biggest desires was to have a child so that she could leave behind a legacy. She never got to fulfill those dreams. She even attempted IVF, but unfortunately, she blamed IVF for her cancer.
Shannen Doherty reflects on her IVF journey as she battles stage 4 cancer.
I was fairly certain it wasn't going to come back because I believed that the reason why I got cancer was because I did IVF. Not only did I want a child for myself, but I wanted it for my husband. I wanted it for our marriage. I wanted him to have that part of himself fulfilled as well. I have looked at adopting and all sorts of different options. Right now I'm in treatment. I'm going to just see how that treatment works. And if I feel like I can give a long enough time to a child, then I'll definitely do it.
From a tumultuous youth to an aspiring end, Shannen Doherty's life was a roller coaster of scandal, redemption, and courage. Even in her final days, she proved that she was anything but a villain, leaving behind a legacy of resilience and strength. And I want to leave flowers in the comments for her. And listen, Hollywood is weird. It could literally take you, the moral, sweet, innocent Southern Christian belle that she was, that could not curse, that spoke against this middle-aged crew member that was with the teens. Who know what the industry did to her, what substances was available to her, all of that. And somewhere along the way, she lost her way. But I'm glad that she ended up finding her way again and coming back. And in the end, I think her story is a real inspiration. Leave below your condolences, your prayers. Comment below also who else would you guys like me to do a video for. If you like the music you're listening to, the link is in the description. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.